Anyone here sign?
All right, guys, we're back for another triple header podcast. This time it's Greg, who's normally on, myself, who's normally on, with guest Coach Antwon Watson here. Um, Matt should be on shortly. We're not sure where he's at, and the other Lawrence Mark is at his regular day job, so he will not be on tonight. But we're just gonna talk anything, everything Cincinnati sports, all sports, NFL, Cincinnati, Bearcats, everything. So, Greg, you want to kick us off with the subject?
Sure. I guess the big one is us being all NFC fans, since the Bills couldn't take care of the job last weekend in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Um, so I guess I want to start. I want to go ahead and start with a question actually for you too. So neither of us want anyone from the AFC to win the Super Bowl. That's not obvious. But who? Not that you're rooting for them, but who would you rather win the AFC Championship game between the Ravens and the Chiefs? I'm gonna start with you, Antoine.
Yeah, I'm glad you're starting with me because, I've been tormented this whole time, just having to suffer through having to watch one of these teams have to advance to the Super Bowl. But I think for me, honestly, I mean, Kansas City, they are what they are, right? I mean, there's no denying what Patrick Mahomes has been able to do. Yeah, I'm grateful we have the quarterback that, stacks up well against him. But I think I would prefer, and it's hard for me to say this, but I think I would prefer for Kansas City to make it. And the logic behind it is more so I'm looking in the division, and right now, like Joe Burrow stands out leaps and bounds to everybody. I know Lamar has the MVPs and all of that, probably going to win it again this year, but the one thing that's been held against him is his playoff record, right? Like going into these playoffs, I think he was 1-3 in the playoffs. We got Joey B, who's 5-2 in the playoffs. So I think I want to keep that separation because we know Joe's going to bounce back next year. And the last thing I need is for the Ravens to win a Super Bowl before us. I mean, Kansas City, they've already been doing it. So it is what it is. People are going to keep the narrative about who they are, and that's fine. But yeah, it pains me because I hate Kansas City, but I think I'd probably prefer them over the Ravens.
Makes sense. And I want to throw out there that the two losses that Joe Burrow has in the postseason is a Super Bowl game by 3 points and the AFC Championship game by also 3 points. So
It'd easily be 7-0, 8-0,
yeah. Brian, how about you?
So for me, some similar reasons as Antoine. I'm going to lean for Kansas City to win, and I think it's mainly because, Kansas City's our rival, but that's a manufactured rival because of success by both teams. Where good, bad, or indifferent, the division rivals are natural rivals to me. So it's the Ravens, from as long as they'll be in our division, and the fact they've ever been in our division will be our forever rival. Even if there's a realignment, they'll still be an old division AFC North rival, no matter what happens. So I guess I just lean towards the manufactured rival. Let them go ahead and win it. Like you said, they've been there. Ravens don't have that Super Bowl yet. And I just don't like rooting for AFC North teams. It just doesn't feel right no matter what the scenario. Even if it's like the Ravens need to win for the Bengals to get in the playoffs, it's still cringeworthy when we're rooting for them to do so to help the team. So let alone the way it's not going to help us at all. So I'm definitely going to go Kansas City. And on a side personal note, I do have Butker as a fantasy playoff player. So, and I have no Ravens. So if there was a tie-breaking scenario, that would do it also. But yeah, I kind of agree with Antoine. I just think the one's a manufactured rival where the other's just natural. So
Yeah, it's a sweep because I'm the same way. And my simple answer is I can't root for anyone in the division. That's just dumb to me. And Brian, you brought up a good point that the Chiefs rivalry is manufactured. It's based on success lately. So even though they drive me nuts now, historically the Chiefs aren't a franchise that I hate. The Ravens I can't root for. They're in our division, and like you're saying, Brian, it's hard to root for a team our division, even if it helps us. I remember last season, we had to root for the Steelers to beat the Ravens late in the season, so we can finally so we can surpass them to get the division. And it just felt wrong, but I just can't do it. But I know a lot of people. I've seen it on social media, and I've heard it at my job. A lot of people are rooting for the Ravens because they're letting their. I feel like people are letting their current frustration or hate or whatever of the Chiefs overshadow the true, like our true rival at the end of the day, or true enemies, whatever you want to call it. Like, yeah, the Chiefs are our new rival, but it's based off success. And to me, if the Chiefs just go ahead and beat the Ravens, it's almost expected at this point. Like they've been in the Super Bowl the last 4 Super Bowls, and the only one they weren't was the one we were in it. So I'm okay with them being in it. I'm going to root against the AFC regardless, but um, I can't root for the Ravens, and I'm kind of annoyed to hear about how like Lamar Jackson's going to get the MVP, which whatever. But like a stat that was shared with me was that he only has like 3,000 something passing yards this year, and I think it was last year that Burrow had like 5,000 passing yards. So Antoine hit on that Burrow easily runs the AFC in the quarterback categories. And unfortunately, he got hurt this year. Watson up in Cleveland, that whole situation is a joke. Flacco was nice while it lasted, but that was it. And I don't even give about the Steelers quarterbacks. There's no point. But to wrap it up, I saw something that online that said, basically it's about like praising Patrick Mahomes about how he's just unstoppable in the playoffs. And there's only 2 guys that are able to stop him. One's retired, and the other one's Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So we'll come back with a vengeance next year. But as far as this game is concerned, the AFC Championship game, I would like to see the Chiefs to win it, but I can't really use the word I'm rooting for anyone.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's hard for me. Rooting is just not in my vocabulary for this game. But I did kind of want to circle back to what you had mentioned about how a lot of people are going for the Ravens because of this manufactured, rivalry. And to a degree, I kind of understand it because when have we played Kansas City when it mattered the most? We beat them. If you go back to the Super Bowl year, we had to beat them to become the AFC champs or AFC North champs. Then you circle back and you go into Arrowhead, and then you had to, beat them to go to the Super Bowl. Like we've had their number, and it just feels like, honestly, with Baltimore, the games just haven't felt like that magnitude. You know what I mean? Even though technically we did play them last year in the playoffs, had the fumble in the jungle. We were there to witness that in person. But I can see why people are leaning more toward hating Kansas City because I feel that. Because when we play them, the stakes are always extremely high. And I don't feel like we've always had that with Baltimore over the last couple years. So
Yeah.
And I'll give even though I was poking the bear with Chris on the text line the other day, he did have a good point of he doesn't hate Baltimore as much as the rest of the North. And I feel him on that. That doesn't mean I'm gonna pull for him because there is a ranking system within that. Hate the Steelers the most, probably the Browns the second most at this point, then the Ravens. The Ravens I hated more than the Browns for a while, and that was just because how they did them when they moved. But that emotion has gone away because it's been so long. And at the end of the day, I'm not a Browns fan, but I did feel for them when, their team just up and left kind of scenario.
yeah.
But yeah, I do understand where he's coming from on like a ranking system. So, if it was Ravens versus Steelers, right, and not Kansas City in the AFC chip, it would be okay. I'd want the Ravens to win, and you might even be able to throw the word root in there for that. On like here, like I'm with Antwon of like I can't throw the word root in. It's the lesser of two evils, almost, if you will. So. But yeah, so there is a ranking system. So I will give those people, that go that route, that excuse as well. But
And think about your ranking system, though. Like it kind of makes sense why they're at the bottom, because I think that's why they are at the bottom of like the teams I hate the least in the AFC North. So Pittsburgh has historically had our number for years. That's part of the reason I still can't stand Ben Roethlisberger because he just knew how to beat us. And now, lately, it seems like the Browns. The Browns can go, lose every game, but they're going to for sure win 2 games, and that's against us. And it's not even close. Like, so that's kind of getting out of hand. But Baltimore, it's as steady as it can be. I mean, they've not ever really had our number, even if you look back at the Palmer years, even the Dalton years. I mean, they've not necessarily had our number. So, when the team's not really, doing anything to hurt you all that bad, like, who cares? Like,
Yeah, they're just there.
they're just there. So,
Yeah, I feel like with me, like my ranking system it's Steelers they're locked in one. Like that's engraved in stone, molten in, whatever you want to call it. But like for me, the Ravens were second in recent years, or in the past, because the Browns were a joke, right? So like, why waste energy on the Browns? I didn't want the Steelers or the Ravens to keep winning. But now, as you brought up, Antwon, in the Burrow era, for whatever reason, the Browns have our number in at least one game of the year. And it's annoying. And I don't know. For me, it's like the Browns and the Ravens are tied with me now. I don't know. I don't like any AFC North team except for us. And on the petty side, as far as this Ravens Chiefs game, I wanted to keep it where, even though this is in Baltimore instead of Kansas City, I want to keep it where only 2 teams have beaten Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, with the Buccaneers and the Bengals.
yeah.
That's just petty. That's just me being petty, but I don't want to hear about the Ravens. I don't want to hear about the Chiefs either. So leading up to the Super Bowl is gonna be annoying. But yeah, I think I'm done as far as my 2 cents.
I did have
on
a
the
question.
game.
When did the Buccaneers beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game?
Oh, sorry. You're right. Super Bowl.
All good.
It's late.
But I
Okay.
think one to kind of help you out here a little bit, Greg. I think one of Brady's final years in New England, he
It
played.
was.
Yeah.
It was the 2018 season.
Yeah. So
I just wasn't gonna let you get away with that blunder on live
Yeah,
TV.
no, I got it mixed up with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers did beat him in the Super Bowl. But yeah, thank you, Brian.
But I guess while we're on it, then I'll pose the question: who are you rooting for in the NFC to make it to the Super Bowl, Antwon?
So this is hard too, right? Like, I really don't care either way, but here's a selfish side of me, right? Like, in all actuality, I would love to see the Lions do it. Like, it reminds me of the 2021 year. But then if they go, like, regardless, I have to root for them to win. And the petty side of me is like, do I really want the Lions to win a Super Bowl before the Bengals? Like, that's just the petty side. But I know their fans deserve it just as much as we do. But like the 49ers, I feel like I'm a little young to like have that hate toward them. I'm sure like the generation right before us probably can't stand them because, you watch, Jerry Rice and Joe Montana beat you twice in a Super Bowl. But I don't really feel that as much because that was, before my time. But it's hard. I personally feel like I'm kind of going for the Niners just because they are who they are, right? They have a historical franchise where they've won, 5 Super Bowls. So what's one more to go? You know what I mean? Like, rather than, and I know this is selfish and petty, but if anybody's going to win their first Super Bowl, it needs to be the Joe Burrow led Bengals before anybody else. And then after that, like if we would have won it in 21 and we had our Super Bowl, I'd be Lions all the way. But I'm selfish. I want my Bengals to be the one to win their Super Bowl on this list of teams that have not. So I guess I have to say I'm going Niners all the way.
Yeah, I do. I do feel you on that. That's the one part of the Lions story that I agree with you on too. It's like, it'd have been cool if the Bengals had done theirs already though. And now we're not gonna wait on that. But Greg, who do you got?
So yeah, I agree. I'm rooting for the Lions with not caring if the Niners win. And like Antwon, all the points Antwon brings, I agree with. Like I'm petty. I don't want certain teams to win before us. I don't care about, like, the Niners don't bother me, even though I was alive for the second time they beat us in the Super Bowl, but I was in kindergarten. So the Niners hate doesn't affect me either. And if the Niners win, like you're saying, I'm rooting for them regardless. The thing I like about the Lions is I love Dan Campbell as head coach. I like the team that they put together. I like that they are the NFC version of the Bengals. But there is the jealous side and the petty side where like we should have won our Super Bowl 2 years ago, and then I can enjoy this a lot more. If they do end up beating the Niners and then they win the Super Bowl, I noticed they win the Super Bowl before us, but the nice thing is the Lions have existed well before we have.
Yeah.
And they've never even been to a Super Bowl. So that helps a teeny bit, even though my stance would probably be different if I saw the blue and silver confetti falling down and just be jealous.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going with the Lions, but if the Niners win, I'm cool with that as well. I just need to figure out what color I'm wearing for Super Bowl Sunday. And if it's the Chiefs versus the Niners, it's Niners red, not Chiefs red.
Hey, I can't wear no red. I'm there. I'm present.
I'll probably wear black.
There you go.
Yeah, like a funeral.
Yep.
No, I agree with both. I go Niners over it. My reasons are similar to yours. I really don't care either way, but I'm gonna root for my Ohio State guys, Joey Bosa and or Nick Bosa, I'm sorry, and Chase Young. So I want to see them be able to hoist. So I'm just gonna go with them for that's my tiebreaker. Other than that, I don't care, and I'm rooting for NFC in the Super Bowl either way anyway. So it kind of works out that I don't hate either NFC team for any reason. You know, I mean, like I said, 49ers, I was alive for the second one, and I was raised to hate them, but like to me, that's again a manufactured one for me because I don't remember it. So I just know I wasn't supposed to like them because they beat us twice. So you know, but it's kind of same with the Rams. You know, the Rams beat us. I should hate them probably more than I do. But it's, you know.
I mean, that's one that I'm like, whatever, they beat us, but like there's still nothing there. You know what I mean? Like, whatever.
Yeah.
I want the Bengals to make it to the Super Bowl, not to play a California team, because that seems to be our kryptonite. But
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you though, like the Rams hate thing or lack thereof. Like, right, the following season when they opened up the season against the Bills after they beat us, I was against them. And then as the season went on, it was like, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it just sucks too with that one because I like Matthew Stafford. And if they played against anyone else in the Super Bowl, I'd be cool with the result. But of course they play the Bengals, and I'm like, well, I'm not rooting for him. I don't care about him now.
Andrew, they had big wit. I love wit, but I'm like, dang, bro, like, why you have to, win this one? Why can't y'all win a 1-17? Like,
Yeah.
Come back for 22.
Right.
Yeah, last year.
But
Yeah, so I don't know. It's gonna be a weird Super Bowl.
yeah. It's just a weird NFL season in general. You know.
I mean, I think you said it best in one of our text threads, Brian. Like wasted season, like wasted energy, wasted hope. I mean, look at all the research we were doing. We were looking at the math and the tiebreakers, and I mean,
yeah.
we were so vested on like the Bengals trying to make water into wine, basically. And I think ideally we all deep down inside knew it wasn't going to happen, but we kept that hope alive. But yeah, that's just the fandom in us. But I mean, if you all don't mind me just slightly switching gears, I'm kind of curious because I'm already into next year. We've already kind of considered the Super Bowl a wash. I'm already thinking about next year. What do you all think about the offensive coordinator move for the Bengals?
Personally, I like it. I'm glad we kept it internal because I think we have a good thing going. And I really think that the way we use Browning is how we were going to use Burrow a lot more. I think people were just like wanting to find something to complain about a lot. You know, most people do. They want to find the negative in things, and they're like, "Well, why don't we do this with Burrow?" I'm like, I'm pretty sure we were gonna. It's just he got hurt. You know, I think it was just a new implementation, and they just rolled it out with the other quarterback. Is that's what you do. You kind of keep the game plan somewhat similar, even though you have a different quarterback. So I think that our coaching staff is smart enough to know that they can, audible, if you will, to use a, NFL term, on game plans. And I think kind of like, and I was on this bandwagon even last year when it came to like tight ends. I'm like, we're not schemed for a tight end. Why does everybody just want to draft a tight end? I'm like, that's dumb, da 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 da. But then the more I thought about it over the off season and this season, I'm like, but if we had that tight end, I think Zach Taylor and the offense, and Callahan at the time, and I'm like, they're smart enough that they're gonna adjust to that and say, hey, now we got a stud tight end, so we will scheme for it. So I think they're more new school NFL where they flow with what the roster gives us and not this is our scheme, this is what we do on offense. No matter what our players are, or we're going to try to find players that fit our system, period, rather than just having, I think they're more open to a slight system change depending on who we have. So,
Yeah, I agree with that. And I feel like this year was a good year to like really open their eyes on like, okay, yeah, what we have in this house is good, but like we can also be better. And I think one thing that maybe they can be better at, think about pretty much Burrow's whole career. We've changed out tight ends every single year. And like, the first couple years were good. Uzama had his best year. Yeah, okay, maybe Uzama was with Burrow for 2 years. And then we went Hayden Hurst. And Hayden Hurst, I thought, played great, but they just felt like they can plug and play. And then you go take a chance on Irv Smith Jr., who just did not pan out. Tanner Hudson kind of started to come around a little bit toward the end. And then, I mean, Drew Sample showed some flashes, but where was he all other 3-4 years we drafted him? So I think if they really just go ahead and just open their eyes, like who is that tight end from Georgia? Like if he's there at 18, do you take a chance
Brock
on him?
Bowers.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I agree. He's a game changing tight end. So, he's kind of what everybody thought Kyle Pitts would be. And I think Kyle Pitts could still be, depending if he gets a good coach and quarterback in that. But yeah, I mean, when you have like a Burrow type quarterback, they also are going to elevate the talent around them. So everybody's like, look at what Tanner Hudson did. Why don't we just keep him? I'm like, I'm not saying we shouldn't keep him, but that shouldn't be our tight end one. Like, I think you just get elevated with the talent around him. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's the guy. Everybody just, and then maybe the 2 or 3 games that we saw the flashes from people, like even a sample, it's just a good matchup for him. That doesn't mean that it's going to go correlate over 17 games plus playoffs. And, and again, I don't say not to keep necessarily players because depth is a good thing to have and, continuity with who you have. But yeah, going back to like the offensive coordinator part, I kind of derailed it a little bit. I think the hire within's good, and I think he's going to be a good coordinator, to be within the system. And I like promoting within, and then you start that coaching tree, if you will. And I think Zach Taylor's going to have a nice coaching tree out there eventually when it's all said and done. So I
Yeah,
think it'll be good. Greg?
I liked it too. I think that, and I like to hope, but I think this is true that they were grooming him anyways. So kind of goes what Brian was saying, is internal already, knows the system, worked with Joe and the quarterbacks already. And I personally like it. And I also feel like what Brian mentioned, with how we were playing with Browning, why some people were saying, why didn't we do a Burrow? Well, let's not forget that Burrow was a statue the first quarter of the season.
Mhm.
And I believe Brian is right because the 49ers game, we had a healthy Burrow after that bye week, and we start seeing him under center. We start seeing play action. We start seeing more. And I think, as long as we keep our guys healthy and whatnot, that you're going to see more of that next year. And, some teams just have a down season that are like that are good, their windows open. And unfortunately we had that year this year. You guys mentioned like it was a waste of a season, but it was still have enough hope. And I think we were such big fans that when the game time comes, you root for the team. And it was just such a roller coaster year, a very streaky year. We started 0-2, and then we had a streak there where we won 4 games in a row. Started against the Cardinals, and we evened it up against the Seahawks. And we had big wins against the Niners in San Francisco, and then another big win against Buffalo coming here. And then we fall into what I believe was a trap game against Houston. Houston proved to be a good team, but at the time, it's like I don't know what happened in that game. and then of course Burrow gets hurt. So then we all felt it. The season's over at that point. Play Pittsburgh the following week, we lose. And it's like, oh man, this sucks.
Yeah.
Then we have the big win against Jacksonville. So then we get back on the high horse, like, all right, we have a shot. And then, like Antwon mentioned, in our text threads, we start doing the math, trying to figure out, all right, here's our rooting guide. And it just fell apart at the end. And to the point where that last game of the season was one of the most boring games of my life. It didn't mean squat.
Can we talk about that for just a brief moment? Because it was the most blah feeling I've ever had going to a game. There was no excitement. It was a ghost town. Nobody was tailgating. I'm like, why am I here? But it's like, I know this is my squad. I wanted them to finish out strong because we're talking about a down year that, yeah, it's a down year because we didn't make the playoffs, but we still had a winning season. And it doesn't necessarily feel that way. But at the same time, you got to think how much talent we really had on that team to still pull together, even the wins that we got, even without Burrow. Like the Vikings game was amazing. I mean, they completely blew out the Colts. You know what I mean? So all these different games that, they fought hard and played well. And it just goes to show you like the depth that we had on the team was awesome. But after a while, man, you just can't keep losing everybody. DJ Reader goes down. Cam Taylor-Britt is hurt for an extended period of time. Obviously, Joe's out. Chase Brown, I think, would have had a huge impact early on in the season. But right when they were game planning to put him in, then he got hurt and he was on IR. Charlie Jones went out. Like
Jamar Chase missed a week.
Jamar Chase is like, come on. T. Higgins, my God. Like,
yeah.
About it, bro. That was a lot. And I know every team goes through injury. So, I'm not playing the excuse game, but like it's kind of similar to what has happened to Baltimore the last couple years. This is the first year they've really stayed relatively healthy.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson was out, our playoff game against them, and pretty much leading up to that, he was hurt the year before. J.K. Dobbins can't stay healthy. Like,
You're used to not playing with him.
They were decimated too, but it seems like this was like their bounce back year and their redemption year. So if there's any silver lining here, I feel like the Bengals are going to re-up. They're going to get healthy. Joe's going to be adamant to stay healthy. Like I think he already feels the narrative of him being like a injury prone player. And I don't want to necessarily name him that just at this given moment. I mean, his 2 full seasons, AFC, 2 AFC championships, 1 Super Bowl appearance. So, when he plays, we're great. We just got to keep him on the field.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sorry I had to walk off. I was sneezing like a crazy person. But but I just said the part of and maybe you touched on this, but the part that I did like about the season is that we did learn. So to go away from the wasted season part, even though I did say that, we learned who our backup is. I think we have a legit one. So if Burrow is out for 2 or 3 games, hopefully no more. Hopefully not even that. But hopefully, but if it's just a couple games, we can weather the storm against pretty much any team.
Mm-hmm.
He's proven that to me, so he can get things done. So that's good. And then we've also proven that though the offense and the team runs through Burrow, that we've now shown people that we have talent. Like we knew it as fans, but like we've shown the outside world that we're deeper than just Joe Burrow. I mean, we can get it done with, the Mixons of the world, the Jamar Chase, the T's, even they were hurt off and on. I think we could have made the playoffs if they just were healthy the whole time.
Yeah.
Like with Browning. So there's more depth to us. The defense didn't do us any favors this year being young, but we kind of knew that. I think we just internalize and hope that they would just all be rookie of the year candidates, essentially, or, second year guys that are like just really developed. It's like, it's going to take a few seasons and, and there still might be one that doesn't develop. Like it's hard to land 100% in the draft.
Yeah.
And maybe one will be serviceable and just not as good as that we think they are, maybe not live up to the draft capital, but I think a lot of times we get hung up on that draft capital, myself included, like, well, we wasted a second rounder on this guy. Well, you still got him on your team. Maybe he only performs like a late third and you got him in the early second, but he still performs and he does things that can help you win a championship, or there'll be moments that, so sometimes draft capital gets in the way of patting players on the back when they need to be patted on the back, or we give too long of a leash to certain players because he's our first rounder, so we're going to give him 4 seasons to figure it out,
Yeah.
so I just hate the draft capital part, but I think the defense will step up. I kind of like that we had a down year, so we didn't lose both of our coordinators. So we get Lou back.
So we think. I mean, is he interviewing? I haven't heard anything.
No, I think he's stagnant because I think we just didn't do very well on defense. So
yeah,
I don't think he's gotten any love this year. I think he will next year though, because I think there'll be a bounce back.
Yeah.
He's one I would have been okay with leaving after last year. Now I know all of it wasn't his fault. I know our linebackers didn't really perform as well as they have in years past, but hearing the conversation, a lot of their play was due to just not getting enough pressure with the D line other than Trey, and then the inexperience behind them. So they're kind of like having a freestyle out there trying to overcompensate instead of playing a game plan. So I think once we shore that up, get some veterans back there, draft well, I think we'll look a lot better.
Yeah.
It
And
just
then
both your safeties.
And at the end of the day, the Joe Burrow effect affects the defense too. That's all I want to say, Greg. Because when he's playing well and we're up, man, we could be out there being cornerbacks when we're up by 20.
Yeah.
When you're up by a lot, it helps. So,
well, our defense is designed to have the lead, right? So, exactly what you said. So the Joe Burrow effect does affect both sides of the ball. And I'm glad that Antwon mentioned the thing with the linebackers having a down year, because it's probably to do with such a young secondary and no pressure up front minus Hendrickson.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Hendrickson, dude. He doesn't get enough love nationally, man. He was second to TJ Watt, who they love him. He's the next, Lawrence Taylor in their head, but I'm like, Hendrickson's a beast, man. He's been doing it for longer, but he's always been quietly doing it. Because even when we got him, I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was this good.
Me neither.
He's just been tearing it up since he's at least been a Bengal. I know that. So
because the narrative on him, I'm sorry, Greg, I'll say this quickly. The narrative was he only had one good year with the Saints. So people are like, oh, y'all overpaid for him, thinking that he wasn't going to perform here. And his ceiling is just going up and up and up and up. So,
well, and he's a consistent Bengals Pro Bowler, right? Him and Jamar. But I was going to say that you guys probably already know this. This is the first year that Trey Hendrickson has not made the playoffs in his career.
Oh, wow.
I think I heard that. Yeah. Because last year with the Saints, and then obviously every year that he's been here up until now.
Yeah. And we just missed it. Like you said before, when Brian was sneezing like a wild man or whatever he said, we had a winning season this year, but it doesn't feel like it. And the reason why it doesn't feel like it, obviously, our expectations are way higher.
Yeah.
And which is nice having high expectations, but I like to jokingly say it sucks having high expectations because, the fall is harder.
Yeah. And as much as I want to dog on Miles Murphy because he was our first round pick, he was a very late first round pick, because we're used to our first round picks being top 5, top 6 guys. Well, hell yeah they're going to perform because they're, one of the top 10 players in the entire college football nation, so it's hard, there's a big difference once you start getting into the double digits, the 10, 12 on down, opposed to the top 10 that come out. So, and it's just something Bengals fans, myself included, aren't used to. So you expect all of our first round picks to come in and give you instant results because that's generally what we've gotten because, you get the studs, outside the couple busts you might get sometimes. But I mean, generally you're like, why is this dude just not lighting it up? Well, it's like, it's going to be hard to be rookie of the year candidate when you're picking that late in the draft. So I think he still has time to develop, but we also got to, watch our expectations on someone like him, I guess I should say. So for the immediate. So I think he'll have I think he'll break out a little more next year. But I just don't know they'll ever be like a dog like we were hoping for because he's just a later round pick. So
yeah.
He
showed some flashes, but I think you made a good point. We're used to, if you look at that 2020 draft for us, I mean, my God, Burrow, number one pick, first overall pick. Then you follow up with T. Higgins, who could have easily been a first rounder, but he slips to the second round. Let's go ahead. Let's take his guy. Logan Wilson right after that, who could have easily been a second rounder. Like, you were getting the top players in each round who could have easily been in the round before. So, 2020, you pretty much got 2 first rounders with T and Burrow. And then you circle back next year and you get Jamar. Like, of course, like, they're gonna perform right away. We get to this draft, is like, why is Miles Murphy not like defensive rookie of the year? Why is he not killing it? Brian's point exactly. He's not that guy yet. They brought him in knowing that he was going to need to be, groomed. But Hubbard had a down year. Hate to say it. And I know he's a local hero. Love Hubbard. But, like, you might want to think about, should he still be starting on the other side? Because Trey needs some help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of our challenge. I think we've touched on this in another pod, but it's like the Bengals like to draft a couple years in advance, which is good because you anticipate a need. But on the same note, it's hard to do so when you want to win now. So you got to kind of, do we draft for the win right now, or do we draft for the inevitable downfall of our defensive ends because they're getting older, So and it's just hard to find that balance, and then the Bengals are in new territory of having to test free agency waters more and more. I think their hands being forced with that because you can't just draft your entire team. You got to get some free agents in there at certain positions somewhere. Like this year, we're going to have probably a right tackle need because I don't think Jonah's coming back. Do you do that through the draft? I mean, it's cool because then you might be able to develop your guy for the future, but that's really going to affect you this year and next. And we went back to protecting Burrow. I'd rather pay someone that's proven that they can protect their quarterback, to protect Burrow. I don't want to test some new things. If I, got a Lamborghini, I'm not going to park it in some new age garage that we don't know if it's going to keep it out of the weather or not. Like, I'm going to go back to the basic ass garage that I know has been working for the past 100 years or however long garages has been built. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, give me someone that I know is good. I would like to, spend money in free agency there. So it's interesting to see what the Bengals do and how they're going to handle all that in those seasons. I'm not saying do both. Maybe sign one and draft one. So then you have someone in the wings, but it's hard because you're just trying to land everything. But I will say, giving Bengals credit, man, and this is over the generations of quarterbacks, of head coaches, we've always been good at finding those late round studs. Like you said, like maybe not necessarily Higgs isn't a late round, but he's later than he should have been. Or even going back to like Hushmanzada came out of nowhere for like a 6th, 7th rounder or whatever, and then even like Chase Brown to me is one of the newest ones. Like, I don't know that he's going to go and be a Hall of Fame running back, but he's a lot better than people would think for as late as we got him. And, and how early he kind of developed with that. So, I mean, he's going to be exciting to watch next year for sure. So it's just those diamond in the roughs that the Bengals always find in those late rounds. That's why I'm always confident. And even look at like Yoshi. I think he's got some potential that no one saw. So not that, again, maybe he's not going to be our future, slot receiver out there, but he's, even as a depth piece, I have confidence in him, and we got four touchdowns as a rookie, and that doesn't happen for a lot of rookies. Because you even look at Chad Johnson, he turned out to be one of our greatest receivers of all time. And I remember watching his rookie season, he was on special teams most of the time. He was like Charlie. Like, everybody's like, oh, Charlie Jones didn't do enough. Like, calm down. Again, let's wait a minute, and see what happens. Like, if you just run the tape of Chad's rookie season, he was running around blocking on special teams. He wasn't anybody. We didn't know who he was. Like, he didn't come out to be the stud. He went to Oregon State. Before that was a JUCO. People gave up on him in college. He was pretty much a nobody talent. We got him on the cheap too, really. So, and I'm not saying that Charlie's Chad, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up because, like, also, what do people expect? Charlie Jones is coming onto a squad that's already has the best wide receiving core in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect him to do a whole lot because what I expected was a healthy Chase, a healthy Higgins, and a healthy Boyd. And then you slide in Irwin here and there, and then, but like seeing what like you brought Yoshi, he'll probably take Boyd's spot next year because I don't see Boyd coming back, and I trust Yoshi. And And then the other thing I wanted to hit on, you mentioned earlier, Brian, about the right tackle getting a vet. Ideally, what I would like to see is get a vet there as well, and one on the defensive side in the secondary, or I mean, maybe somehow we get an end to help Hendrickson. But to kind of go with what you're saying about drafting, we have good late draft picks that pan out. We also do pretty good with that with free agency. We don't get like the sorry, Antoine. We don't get the brightest diamond, but we still get a gemstone, like you know, Woozier when he came on the team, or even Hendrickson. Like I knew he was good, but to be basically a TJ Watt that just doesn't get the attention, man, that guy's a beast. Like we've done stuff like that, or when Von Bell was here, it's like we can do it.
His career was over. He was washed, they said.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he didn't look washed to me when he came.
Right.
No, he did not.
I mean, you took the words literally right out of my mouth. That was going to be the next point I made in rebuttal to the whole looking at, taking good pieces in the draft, finding a diamond in the rough. We've always been really good in free agency, at least if you look at the 2020 and 2021 free agency, going in and not getting like, quote unquote, the top guy, but like a really good player, and they just fit the scheme. And everybody you mentioned, Von Bell, you throw Mike Hilton in there, Awuzie, Hendrickson. What I was gonna say, we need to get back to that this year, because I feel like we're pretty set on offense. Like you still pretty much have all your pieces in place. Plug in maybe a new running back. Not sure what's gonna happen with Mixon. He may come back, play out his final contract. Maybe they cut ways to save room on the salary cap. But you got Chase Brown there. You may draft another running back, see what happens there, whatever. But ultimately, I feel like you're good to really just focus on the defense, because that defense couldn't stop me, Brian, or Greg. Like, I mean, we would have our way with that defense with how bad they were, especially on third down. So if you go get some key solid players, they don't have to be the top day one free agency people, but like just good solid players, fill in a gap with some of that youth that you drafted last year. And I think they'll be right back to being a top 10 defense. You got Lou still. We know Lou can scheme them up, but like you can only do so much scheming and planning. You got to have the players to be able to execute. And a lot of what they were doing, I don't think Lou was actually calling bad, plays. We were just taking terrible angles. We were playing out of position. Like it was really bad. So I do think if you have a heavy emphasis on getting those, solid defenders, maybe not the top money ones, but like right middle of the road, get enough of them, you have a pretty solid defense.
Well, I think too, like I agree with all that, by the way. I think we're pretty sound offense, but I want to say it before I forget with this, take advantage of the Burrow effect.
Yeah.
While that plays in your advantage for free agency. The draft is what it is. You draft whoever, and they have to come here unless they pull like an Eli Manning or John Elway or whatever. But you know what I mean. Like free agency wise, though, these guys know each other in the league, and I still always hear props about Joe Burrow. Use that, even if it's not playing with Joe directly on offense. On the defensive side, like, all right, cool, we got a quarterback and the offense is set. I'll join this team and improve it, and take advantage of that. I'm even to the point where, since we are pretty set on offense, to get another plug and play tight end and see how they work this year.
Noah Fant says something a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I did see that.
So like, there's stuff like that. Like, why not? Yeah, Irv Smith didn't work out, but we knew that was a risk even coming into the year, more so because the injuries this year is just, I don't know.
I mean, you can only roll the dice so many times and hit 7. Like sometimes it's not gonna go your way. But and I know a lot of he was an LSU guy too, so I think they're just trying to do that LSU connection as well. So.
Well, if we're gonna do that, is JJ coming here next year?
Last podcast I said, man, we'll go ahead and bring JJ and an AJ Brown. He's pretty pissed off right now. So, and then we'll tag Higgs. So that'd be heck, him, Chase, AJ. We just
Great
throw it up.
lineman with him.
I can be quarterback with them receivers. I just throw it down the field. Someone's gonna get it.
Just chuck it.
Yeah. Who's not doubled? Okay, I'm gonna go that way.
Yeah, man.
Dude,
But,
that'd be
I
wild,
don't.
dude. We got
You know, it
JJ.
would be wild. I don't. There's not a chance that JJ comes, but man, like if they did to revitalize that LSU offense they had, God, that'd be fun
That'd
to
be
watch.
wild.
And now they need to call Joe Barry or
Yeah.
Joe,
Yeah, right?
Brady. Joe Brady.
Joe Brady.
Be like, hey, man,
Yeah.
come call some plays. Which, how y'all feel about Zach calling these plays, man? Like, yeah, you good?
Stop. Just stop.
I like. See, I'm different. I like that he tries something. He doesn't always try the right thing, but you know
Yeah.
how we were always pissed off in the Marvin years that he wouldn't go for it. He wouldn't do it. Well,
Yeah.
you know, third and 4, what we ran. Okay, we're not going to run. You know, what are we doing? You know, and then we get to 4th and 1. Oh, we're punting. Well, why not go for it? Well, because that's not what Marvin does. You know,
Yeah.
so now we're on the other end of it, and Zach's trying some shit, maybe not the right shit. And yeah, I stopped doing some things. You know, don't let certain players, you know, throw the ball, but sometimes you got to put it on the player too. Like, do the right fucking thing. You know, just fall down or run.
Tyler
You know,
Boyd, run.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
throw the ball to Josh Allen for a pick 6 almost. Or was
Yeah.
it a pick
So
6?
I'm not saying like to continue calling it, but I like that he's doing something because I don't want us to yell stop and then he stops. Like, all right, guys, I'm flipping punting on 4th and 1 then.
Facts.
And then you're gonna be like, well, why are you putting it? Well, you told me to stop, you sons of, you know, like you told me to stop, so I stopped. But I don't want to see. I just like the aggression, I guess, not necessarily the play call specifically, but I like the aggressive play call. I like him going for it and trying stuff, and you know, and I trust that he says it's worked in practice and things happen. You know, sometimes you get nervous in the game and you try too hard, and so. But I like him to try to go for it. So I defend him on that a little bit. I'm not going to be one that pours on and says, you idiot, you know. Now, I will say that I wish he let Burrow call his own number some, you know, a little more. I wish he'd give him a little more Peyton Manning, you know, leash. Let him go up there and run his own scheme. Because when he runs his own, it just seems like it works a lot of times. So,
well, have you ever heard that conversation? They caught it on clip where he's talking to the referee and Burrow's talking to the ref. He's like, oh, yeah, my signal went out in my helmet, so I called my own plays. He's like, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's like, I love that, dude. I'm surprised he's not in there trying to rip it out every time. Like, let's get rid of this shit.
And I agree with Brian. Like, I like the aggression. It's just, let's be smart with it too, though. Like, you know, for example, 4th and short, like, run it. Just pound it in. Or, you know, whatever. Like, I don't know. Don't do it. Basically, don't do a trick play on 4th and inches.
Yeah, that's where you run it. But yeah. But I don't say throw away all the trick plays either. Just know when to use them.
Yeah. So with that, yeah, because it got frustrating with the Marvin years where it was 4th and short, and it's like, oh man, let's go for it, and we like, no, we're gonna punt. I'm like, no, why?
Yeah, that's freaking change. It looks like Matt's joining us over here.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, can you hear me?
We can.
All right, sweet. Yeah, there was a little snafu there.
Oh, it's all good, bro.
Sorry for the delay, man.
We were just talking about how they were praising me on my Dynasty Championship. So if you want to go ahead and
no,
touch on that.
I'm not praising you for shit at all.
Look, I tried to put that. I forgot you won.
He put that out of his head. That one's gone. No, that memory's dead.
Hey, especially, I mean, this man, look, if we bring it back, he kept saying, oh, you ain't going to make the playoffs. I made it. I was like, you better pray I don't make it. And then you get lucky. Tyreek Hill gets hurt. A couple other people get hurt. Goes out. I'm like, oh, man. That's my championship, bro.
No one will remember any of that. We just remember who won the chip.
Unfortunately, that is true. I'll give that to you.
I definitely won't remember Antwon's situation with losing Tyreek Hill.
I'm sure you don't. But if we got to talk about some highlights, man, I did drop some Jordan memes on some folks. So, you know, I'll take that. I don't think nobody else did that. So
no, you did.
I mean, since you brought that up, not to switch gears for a second, but I got an ESPN update regarding the NBA, and Luka scored 73 points tonight.
Golly, I just seen that.
What's up with all these What Embiid just dropped what
70.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why, like, I was wondering that, but I saw the ESPN update, and now Luca has the second highest scoring since the late great Kobe Bryant.
Which
Dude.
RP 4 years today. Crazy.
Yep, that's why today. I don't know if you guys see it. My Lakers. I saw that, and it's hard to believe it's been 4 years since he passed away.
Man, one
Uh,
of his saddest days, bro. I'll tell you.
that was the first
Right.
and only like celebrity death that actually affected me. Like, that just hurt.
I was sad, like, bro, like I didn't grow up a Kobe fan. You guys, well, I know Greg for sure knows this. I was always everybody that was going up against Kobe. I was a big T-Mac and Allen Iverson, but as the years went on, I'm like, similar to Tom Brady,
Yes,
like,
I feel you. I'm right with you.
you're with me? Yeah, like that's how I was.
Yeah.
But later in his career, I was like, you know what? I gotta respect the game. Like, man, this man's killing it. Kind of how I feel with Tom Brady toward the end of his career. I was like, I can't hate this guy. This guy, I gotta give him the GOAT. And that's kind of how I felt about Kobe. So
Yeah, Brian and I knew early on. So that
Dude,
Mhm.
was one of
Yeah.
our first things in our friendship too. I remember.
I named my dog Kobe. Bro, I named my dog Kobe.
I love it.
Yeah, Antwon, you had a dog named Kobe too.
We did, yeah. We had a dog named Kobe growing up as well. So, you know,
But yeah,
we just had his way.
that's why I am in the Lakers gear tonight, though. So, since I guess that was a good transition as far as the Luca thing, I wanted to bring it up. But
Dude, that's crazy. Dude, but Luke is nasty. He's got those, like, I love the way that Luca plays basketball because it's not like I'm just gonna throw down 360 dunks and I'm gonna hit 80-foot shots. It's like I'm gonna drive at mid range. I'm doing layups. I'm getting to the foul line. I'm helping my teammates. It's like that old school 90s basketball, like that we grew up with. And things that I miss about basketball is that, like, think about if Shaquille O'Neal was playing, everybody would be like, "Oh, he can't play in today's game." Bullshit. All you gotta do is throw that ball down in the post, and Shaq, all he has to do is just shoulder.
Oh, Matt's breaking up.
he's reporting from a cave.
Oh,
I not to be this guy, but I got another news snippet that came out. Did you guys see that Vince McMahon of the WWE has stepped down, resigned
I saw that.
due to sex trafficking allegations?
Bro, that's wild to me.
Yeah, it is.
Like I grew up a big, huge WWF fan, obviously transitioned to WWE. And, Vince McMahon was one of those individuals that, you just kind of hated him, but like he played the role well, right? I think about Stone Cold coming through, giving him the stunner, his daughter Stephanie McMahon giving her the stunner, like just I don't know, it takes me back, but like it's just crazy. We have in our minds who these individuals are because of a character that they play in, the entertainment business. But like to see that he's somewhat associated with sex trafficking, like that's wild to me, man.
And to be fair, it's allegations, so
True.
wait and see what comes of it. But it is crazy.
Yeah.
No. Greg, you got to read the fucking text messages that have been disclosed. This dude that works with me showed me the text messages he was sending to the plaintiff, so to speak, the chick that's like saying that he's sexually abusing her, and they're like beyond what you thought a sex trafficker would say to people. Like, I'm not going to repeat them on this podcast, but it's fucking it's outlandish. Like,
I tried to read it. This dude was like, "Hey, read this text message that Vince McMahon apparently sent to this chick," and like my mouth hit the floor even further than I thought it could hit the floor because it's that ridiculous. Like,
Wow.
yeah. So I don't know if he's gonna escape this one, but it's still like a hard fall from grace, man. Like we grew up with fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Mankind, all for the wrestling, and to find out this dude's like, yeah, I'm gonna be like selling these chicks. Fall from grace, man. Like dude's a billionaire, but he's about to fall hard.
Yeah. He'll escape it via death, I think. He's not doing too well health wise. But yeah,
Oh,
no, he's just not the same. If you've seen him walking around live or recently, he's got a cane. He just everything's catching up to him, the steroids and all the drugs and all the partying, the rock star lifestyle he lived by, being a
Hey, that's
young
like
billionaire that, was
that's the
transitioning a world. So
future of Jim Irsay.
yeah, probably. Unfortunately, probably, yeah. But yeah. No, it's wild because I remember I'm older too, so I remember like he went from wrestling being regional to national, and he did that himself. He got rid of the regions. I mean, a lot of it was in a harsh business way. He was just taking out a bunch of the little man, the little guys. And then by the end of his career, I think he's almost ruined it because it's just not what it even used to be when we grew up. Outside of the allegations, all that, I think he kind of started going down he got a little too big for his britches and kind of head's falling apart. So
yeah, I agree.
But so how about them? I guess we transition maybe to the Bearcats. They still can't.
Oh yeah.
They were close again. I did not get to watch the Kansas game, but I seen the score and I'm like, damn, 5. So obviously we're in it. Had a shot. Last I've seen, we were last 4 in on the bubble team. So we're in right now, but it would be nice to get a whole week of wins. Like we'll win like the Monday or Tuesday game, and then we'll lose like the Friday, Saturday game. So it's like we could knock out 2 in a row, possibly get ranked. Being ranked just makes me feel more comfortable, and we're just not quite there yet. But it is nice to see that we're last 4 in on the bracketology. So
I think it helps that we're not getting blown out either because the Big 12 is a gauntlet this year. And with the Kansas game, what really happened there in the second half, we went like on a 4-minute drought where we couldn't score. And it was a sloppy at times. But we manned up against Kansas fine in a harsh environment. And we even had the lead, in the second half. It's just we went cold. Free throws, missing those hurt us. If I remember right, we weren't too hot on the 3-pointers either in that game. So typical, like, normal UC type of stuff. Like, unfortunately, we've historically never been a good free throw shooting since at least the Huggins era, right? But I think what you're saying, Brian, like being one of the 4 bubble teams, it just helps that, it sucks losing, but we're losing by 5 or less to these ranked teams.
They got a tough stretch.
Some wins.
Yeah, I mean, they got a tough stretch against all these ranked opponents, but like they are holding their own. So I think there's hope and promise there that they will figure out how to grind out a couple of these. You speak, Kansas game first half. I mean, they were down as much as like, I don't know, 10, 12 points, and they were able to fight back, get to, tie that thing up at halftime. And, you're just looking at a couple empty possessions, that 4-minute drought. Like, you take that away, it's a 5-point game. Like, you probably win that game. And that would have been a great resume builder. But they get them again. You can play with these guys. Like, you get them here at the shoe, which, I'm hoping to be in attendance and check that out. But
let me know.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay, though. I think, it's definitely a huge boost from last year. I like the guys, and we haven't even been playing with our full team yet. So
I was gonna say that you read my mind this time, like injuries.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Wes has pretty much designed his offense around CJ Frederick, and he's been out for think he's supposed to come back in the next 2 weeks, and that's going to be a huge boost because that's the thing that they're missing. They're missing a guy that can hit a big 3-pointer, or that is going to knock that down. But the best part of UC this year to me is the way they play the passing lanes, because that is like my favorite thing. Like stolen passes that way, like stealing a bounce pass, just like that's extra possessions that you don't account for.
Yep.
And I mean, as much as the Bearcats turned the ball over against Kansas, Kansas was right there with them. Like they were getting the turnovers, they were getting the extra possessions, and then they were just giving it right back. And Lukosius he couldn't hit a shot. And I don't know what the deal is with the big dude from West Virginia, but there's been like times like he has an obvious mismatch in the post. And I don't understand why he's not just like turn and dunk the fucking basketball.
Yeah.
He's like backing him down, and then he's kicking it back out, but like he'll be guarded by somebody that's like 5 inches shorter. And it's like, is that like coaching? Is that just like a character flaw of him where you're not going to just like dunk the ball? I don't know, but I do like overall, I love the way that Wes has the team fighting for possessions. John Newman has carried on the tradition of, we're Bearcats, we're rebound, we defense. And I think that he's going to eventually get the shooter, couple of shooters that he needs to make his offense really run. Because even if his offense isn't running, we're not out of basketball games. I think if his offense is running, like we're winning these games by like 2 possessions going into the 8-minute mark of the second half. So it's like a big swing, a lot of little things, but overall, I think it's exceeded my expectations of the Bearcats entering Big 12 play for the first year.
I agree.
Yeah, we need to stop also missing layups and close range shots. That drives me crazy. But I agree, because you were saying, Matt, that like, backing it down and kicking it out. And Antwon mentioned, or maybe as you mentioned as well, the steal. Yeah, it was you. The steals. Like, all right, I agree with you. That's all great. But please don't stop missing these layups and dunks, please. Look like Antwon out there.
Listen, I'll make it over somebody in a heartbeat if I'm wide open.
That's true.
See, that's the competitor in me. I need it to be hard for me to, do my thing.
Otherwise, it's too easy, huh?
That's it, man. Got to get it the hard way.
Yeah, I think if they can just get it all together by the Big 12 tourney, they can make a little run, and that'll get them in there, get them a decent seed. Because like you said, Matt's broad point, like no point in the season if we had our entire team together at all. It just hasn't happened. And the only thing I said I didn't watch the game, the stat line I seen was 3-pointers. We were disastrous. It was like live and die by the 3-pointer kind of a season. That one's where we died at, and a lot has to do with Frederick not being there. Because even if he just hit two threes, we'd win the game. Like 2 more threes. So, and he would have done at least that, if not more. So,
in situations, sometimes I feel like they start chugging up the threes too early. Like I felt like they did that a lot in camp. I'm like, why are we? Look, it's a 2-possession game. You don't have to just start chugging it, up. Like drive. We got size. I feel like this is one of the bigger like teams that we've had in recent memory. So like, make our presence be known in the paint. But everybody.
That's where
shoot.
I agree, and that's where I'd like to see Jizzle James more down the stretch. Like I love Day-Day's defense, but as a facilitator at point guard, Jizzle was just better at it. I think he just finds a way to feed the bigs. Like him and Bandego seem to have a chemistry. Every time they go in, there's at least 1 or 2 alley-oops a game I see that just were seamless. Like it's not even like Bandego had to adjust. It was just like Jizzle threw it like an inch away from the rim, and Bandago just, flipped his hand down and went in because he doesn't really have to jump much. But I think I think he's just a great facilitator. I think he can score too when he gets hot, and he is one that likes to drive a lot. So, he'll shoot some threes, but I see him driving a ton. So I think he's got to be a mixture. And also, I wouldn't be mad at certain scenarios where both of them are on the court at the same time down the stretch, like Day and Jizzle when we play them two with two bigs, and then whoever you want as the fifth. Like maybe Lukosius because he's kind of our 3-pointer shooter right now, but when Frederick's healthy, he could be the fifth out there and have 2 points. The shooting guard and just for Day-Day's defense. So you have your defender and your offensive guy, and then you have your two bigs. So just an idea. I mean, I'm no coach, but I would just love to see what happens when we do that.
Yeah.
Well, somebody brought that up on how they have the weekly now it's the Wes Miller show at Montgomery Inn.
Oh yeah.
The coach interview, and I caught the very tail end of it, but Wes was talking about how I guess somebody had mentioned Lukosius and like, oh, he was off that last game, but like Wes was saying how all of the offensive statistics as far as like less turnovers, ball movement, all positive things are up when Lukosius is in the lineup. So he's like, don't stop. You can't stop shooting the ball. Keep playing like you're playing. You're obviously having a positive impact. And I think that Lukosius, as good as he is, I think that, Frederick is like to use Pokemon terms, the evolution of Lukosius as far as like an offensive talent. He's a far more talented player. He's going to get shots. It's going to facilitate better. And I think it's been said multiple times that Wes had designed the offense through Frederick. So he's like trying to compensate with Lukosius, and I get it. So I don't fault Lukosius because I really like the way the guy plays team basketball. And I think that overall, if you said you were going to get 2 wins out of the first 5 games, looking at the season before you watched the team play a game at all, you would have taken 2 and 3 through the first 5 games. I mean, given everything, I think it's good, a good platform. I think that Wes has established himself as a viable, like, the guys buying into the message. He got the Jordan brand. We got the sweet uniforms back. Like, all those things add up to getting recruits and adding into the NIL. And I just think that he's going to lead us back to, he's like Bob Huggins 2.0, but more offensive minded. Whereas Huggins was like press and, this, that, and the other. But I think that Wes Miller's scheme is we are going to focus on defense, passing lanes, and rebounding, but our offense is going to be a lot of drive and kick. And if we got a really good point guard, they're going to fucking drive the lane and just take those buckets. Roy Williams style. I think he took a lot of Roy Williams, and I think it's going to go a long way. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't really think that there's a college basketball program that could like say, hey, Wes, can we pry you away from Cincinnati outside of North Carolina? It's the only college I see Wes Miller leaving us for, but like, I'm really excited about UC basketball. It is the one sport team that I wish won a championship more than anything else. Like, fuck the Reds, fuck the Bengals. If I could see a UC Bearcats college basketball championship, that is what I want the most. Because it was stolen. It was stolen against St. Louis when Kenyon Martin broke his leg, God damn it. And I want that. Like, it was there. It was fucking there.
Yeah. No, I do feel you. I wouldn't go as far as saying fuck the Reds. Let's relax there, but I
They've
get what
already
you're
won.
saying.
No, man. I'm sorry. That's just like I said, it's personal opinion. I wish
Yeah.
that is the one sport I want a championship in more than any other.
No,
Any
I feel
other.
you. I'll take a Cincinnati championship almost anywhere at this point.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
Even FC, man. I was trying even for that.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, Matt, you make sense. Mine's just the Bengals above anything, but the Bearcats are right. I mean, like
They're
and
number
Brian
2.
said, the best. I want all of our teams. Let's have a year where the Bearcats, the Bengals, the Reds, FC Cincinnati all win. Let's just do that. Title Town.
Titletown, USA. But
Dream, man. That's a dream.
yeah, we got to get one of them, and I think they'll all fall in place. We got to get that curse off of us somehow.
Yeah.
No, it's a fun season. You know, we're having some fun seasons because it's just good to have UC basketball back. Like they've just been gone for so long, and it's the best year you can come back is when we go to Jordan Brand. You know, like I know it's just like a commercial brand, and we shouldn't care as much about it, but there's just something about it, and maybe it's the nostalgia because it was the Martin years, and all that. And back then, it was really a big deal because not every team had it. It was very few and far between back then.
Yep.
It was very exclusive. So I think the exclusivity of it, and it just didn't feel the same being Adidas or Under Armour when we had those years.
But also UC Cincinnati is like top 15 as far as college basketball programs overall in wins. Like being in the top 25, making the tournament. Like we're a prestigious university, so like I like
need
the
to get the
fact
chip
that
to get the credit.
Yeah, you got somebody that's like carrying that, like stick your chest out. You're fucking Cincinnati basketball, man. Like there's NBA players that came from here. There's championships that's come here. Like you set the trend after the Michigan Black Sox. It was UC and the stripes on the side. So like there's tradition there. And I think that, like I said, I can't speak enough about how much I like the way that Wes Miller is like trending the program back into like, hey, you need to fucking pay attention to us because we're coming for everything.
Someone at work was just telling me that, and I can't remember, and I didn't look it up. So if I'm wrong, correct me. That we're the first team to have Jordan sponsored gear back in the 90s.
I don't know if we had it before North Carolina.
I know that's what I was thinking. I figured North Carolina would be the first one, but that's why I said even if we're the first, we were one of the first. So and it goes to what like you guys were all saying that we are technically like we are a college basketball school, and we had that stretch with the football recently, but that's already kind of disappeared. And I hate to say it, but I'd rather have a basketball program successful there because I can watch the Bengals for football. I mean, I like the Bearcats football doing well, but Bearcats basketball, there's something right about that. I don't know. I think it's nostalgia for me as well.
It was special that 21 year though. Like Saturday watching the Bearcats win, and then Sunday watching the Bengals win. I mean, Bearcats break through as a group of 5 to make the college football playoffs. And honestly, I think Fickle choked in that game, not to like go down that route, but they were neck and neck. Alabama wasn't really like impressing anybody, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
And that was special. And then obviously Bengals going to a Super Bowl that year too. I mean, that was what could have been. Like we talk about Titletown. I mean, they both were 1 win away, like Bearcats 1 win away from being in a national championship. Could you imagine that? Like, I don't even know what it's like to see UC in a national championship.
No.
Basketball, they wanted Oscar Robinson.
That's like our grandpa.
The Big O didn't even win it. I think they won it after he had left.
The year after.
Yeah.
I do have the information on the Jordan Brand if you like that.
Oh,
The inaugural Jordan Brand universities included Cincinnati, St. John's, Cal, and North Carolina A&T. 2
oh,
years later, Mike made the obvious money move by inking his alma mater, North Carolina.
no way.
So yeah, it was not UNC first.
Bearcats.
The Bearcats, along with a couple other teams, but we'll
I'll
give
take
ourselves
it.
credit for having it because we're better than the other teams that were there. So yeah, I am surprised by that because I thought it would be North Carolina first, but but North Carolina being that old school, they might have wanted him to prove his brand a little more. Because back then it was still a developing company. I mean, it was a shoe brand, but I could see it, or maybe just simply had to do with the Nike contract that the swoosh had to be on there. Who knows what it is? I didn't read into the why, but yeah,
Well, there
we
we
were
have it,
one of the first four, so
Yeah, that's sweet.
that is our national championship. Hang the banner. There's a Jordan in the shoe, a Jordan in the shoe. But no, I'm a big UC basketball guy, so I like seeing them win the chip. For me, I don't know, it's hard for me to rank them. Like, you guys are pretty easy on ranking who you want first, and I don't have that when it comes to Cincinnati-based teams. You guys are gonna all yell at me, but Ohio State's my number one overall team, so that's who I want to win the chip all the time, no matter what. So that's my all-time favorite team. So I get it, for football, but basketball wise would be UC. Baseball is the Reds, but I can't. It's hard for me. I'd say probably the Bengals because they don't have one, at all, ever. So that's not even just in my lifetime; they just don't have one. So I think that would help be my number one until that happens, and we can re-rank it a little better, And then I probably would go UC basketball because at least the Reds did happen in my lifetime, even though I don't really recall it, But it's hard to say. Ask me, depending on what the season is I think what happens for me. Like, if you ask me this mid baseball season, I'm like, who give a fuck about what are you talking about? Yes, the Reds, the World Series is what I want, But then when you go to football season, I'm like, well, the Bengals, of course, screw the Reds. So I think it's just I'm into the what's going on right now. That's who I want to win the chip kind of thing. But it's hard, But I get what Matt's saying. You have that one that, if you could give up chips for everyone else and let them keep winning them, that would have been the Ohio State football for me. Unfortunately for the Cincinnati sport thing, but it's just how I was raised. Is
That's fair. I mean, at least you know who your direct one is too, though, right? Like,
yeah,
me, it's just the Bengals. It's nothing against the Reds or Bearcats.
yeah.
It's just but the NFL is my all-time favorite. So why not have my favorite team in my all-time favorite sport and league
Well,
to wanted to win it all?
And that's my thing too. I'm a college football head over NFL,
Right.
so that's why it's
And
I
like
don't know if you
Antwon
guys-
likes synchronized swimming above everything, so he wants the Cincinnati synchronized swimming team to win the chip this year.
Now, see, for that, I really am kind of an Iowa guy. That their team is just second to none.
I don't know if you guys brought this up, but if Patrick Mahomes throws 3 touchdown passes, he will pass Peyton Manning for touchdown passes in his career in the playoffs in his fucking 6th season. Fucking Patrick Mahomes! The guy is Thanos.
Or he's in a weak division, so he makes the playoffs a lot.
And he came into a great situation. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Andy Reid is your head coach.
I get that,
Got the
but
greatest tight end of all time.
Right.
No.
Like, come on.
One of the greatest defenses of all time. Like,
Tyreek Hill was there.
Tyreek
I
Hill
know.
was there.
I don't like telling you these statistics, but he's fucking. It's insane. It's insane. The guy, since he started as quarterback, has not played. He has not played in the AFC Championship game. It's absurd. 6 years straight, and as great as Tom Brady has been, like, he didn't go to 6. It's like comparing LeBron to fucking Jordan at this point, because Mahomes is like about to be that LeBron shit where it's like LeBron went to 9 straight finals, different teams, didn't matter. He went to the finals and he had 4 championships, and everybody's like, "Oh, but you didn't win them all." But he still
Yes,
went
he
to
did.
9 straight finals,
I say
and
that. That's what I say.
you know what I'm saying? Like you can't knock that.
I
I
So
can't.
mean,
I knock it quite regularly, actually.
Michael Jordan went 6 for 6. Michael Jordan went
get
6 for
the fuck
6,
out of here. Did
and
he go to 9 straight?
Joe Montana went 4 for 4.
Joe Montana, baby.
So
I know what you guys are doing. I understand it,
I
but
know. It's called We're Being Right and You're Being Wrong. So maybe jump on the bandwagon.
fucking wrong. Okay, everything is telling you to bet the Ravens because they're giving 3 points, but Patrick Mahomes is like 8-2 in the playoffs. Wherever, when you give him points, Chiefs are gonna go to the fucking championship,
I agree. I think they are.
yeah,
and it
I
sucks
think,
because I really like Lamar, dude. But
yeah. Well, I only like him during fantasy football. That's about
Yeah.
it. And as long as he's not playing the Bengals, but I'll give you, and we spoke about it a little bit. I did pick the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. I don't want them to win the Super Bowl, but I mean, it is the standard. That's who they are. That's what they do. Like, I mean, it is what it is. You're not going to change that narrative. It's going to take a while to change that narrative. So whatever, go again. I think the thing that's going against Baltimore right now is the fact that everybody thinks they're in, right? Everybody thinks they're the dominant team. Everybody thinks they're the most complete team. And I think that's going to backfire because they didn't look that great early on last week against the Texans. And it just seems like the Chiefs, when everything is on the line, man. I mean, all of a sudden their wide receivers know how to catch again. Like, I mean, Travis Kelce's in the end zone twice. He's shimmying, dancing, doing it. I mean, it's business as usual. So, like, all that what happened in the regular season is done. They are who they are in the playoffs, and I think they get it done this weekend. And I think Lamar just goes back home with another MVP, but that's not going to be important anymore because now they're going to be like, he can't do it in the playoffs.
Yeah, dude.
and I think the Ravens have a great defense, but you telling me that Andy Reid's not going to prepare for that?
Yeah.
I mean, and then Brian, I know you heard it because I mentioned it at Beat Ups last night. But in case you guys haven't heard, the officiating crew for the game with the Ravens and Chiefs has the highest favorable rate for visiting teams of the
Oh,
season,
Lord.
and it's
oh,
by
and the under,
and it's
and the
and
under, and the
and
under.
it's by a ton. So, like,
Lord.
you're telling me, like, the NFL wants this because they want Taylor Swift to be at the Super Bowl.
Yes,
And then
they
if it
do.
ends up being the Lions in the Super Bowl as well,
He's for a bit, Eminem.
we have Eminem versus Taylor Swift. We didn't pick on that one. Who you guys got on that one?
Oh,
And
no,
I know,
they-
Matt, you're the betting guy, but I want to throw my one bet in there. This is your long shot bet of the day. Put money down on the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl going to Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz, baby. Let's go.
Oh,
Because if
I
you
see
hit
what-
that, you're a billionaire. Then you can buy the Bengals, and then they'll win the Super Bowl. Because we'll bring everybody in. Bring Marvin back. Marvin fucking Lewis.
Now I will tell you on the betting lines, what I've heard most is that people think that the Niners are going to roll the Lions, and I don't believe that at all. I think it's like 6.5 or like 5.5, 6. It's around there for Niners point spread, and that's all dependent upon if Deebo Samuel plays, because there's a drastic difference between the Niners when Deebo is playing and when he's not. I think they're like around 500 when he's not playing, as far as like covering the spread or anything gambling related. But when he is playing, they're like 19-6 or some shit like that. And I don't have the websites to back this up. You're just gonna have to trust me that I've been listening to podcasts, people explaining this, and I'm telling you that these are the facts. I don't like just regurgitate fake news. I'm not spitting fake news. It's not fake news. These are facts. But I really see the Lions winning. I see the Ravens winning by a point. So I would take the Chiefs to cover the 3 points. And I would take the Lions to win, covering the spread. But I think the Lions are going to win regardless. Like, I think that the Niners are too cocky, and I don't trust Kyle Shanahan in a big clutch moment. He's been getting by with the talent on his team, not his coaching decisions. And that's played out in all of these NFC championships. I think this is the 3rd or 4th year in a row that the Niners have been in the NFC championship.
Yep.
So where's your championship? It ain't
That's how
happening
they get over
because
I think that's how they get over the hump this year.
yeah.
They got Chase Young now. Woo!
Yo, get the fuck out of here with Chase Young.
But all right, I guess we've been going for a while now. You guys ready to wrap this up, or any other thoughts? Anything you want to touch on?
I'm just grateful to be here. It was nice talking sports. I feel a little bit better about Championship Sunday. I'm just ready to get it over with, ready to get Super Bowl over with. Who dey?
Who day?
Who day? All right, fellas.
And go Cats.
Go Cats. I think that the Ravens are going to win in a very close game over the Chiefs. And I'm pulling for Detroit. Fuck the Niners. Go Lions.
Motor
And
City Dan Gamble.
I mean, either way, I've got players on our
Fantasy thing.
postseason fantasy league in the NFC Championship. So whichever way this goes, I got players in the Super Bowl, but I want the Lions.
I don't think Antwon wants to speak about this.
Hey,
one.
this has been like, I'm usually really good at fantasy.
No, you're not.
No, I really am. And play okay. But no, literally playoff fantasy, I've won what 2 of the last 5 that we've done. And sure enough, this year the Eagles just screwed me. And I knew that's why I don't go heavy on one team, but I was kind of forced to with my draft position. So what do you do?
Hey, at least
I'm
your kicker-
gonna win back to back. I'm reigning champ. I'm about to win back to back.
You're
I got
going
3
down.
Lions. I got Purdy.
Go off.
Yeah.
Go
Ready?
off, motherfucker.
Yeah, which is null and voided by Amon Ra, because that's who he's gonna pass the ball to.
Yeah, but I'm getting that extra point every time because of Detroit's kicker.
Yeah, that could help you. All right, we're gonna close this down. Next time we
All
come
right.
back, I'll be the champion. See you next time.